Hello and welcome back to the aquarium. Today we're going to be talking about the aggregating anemone. So a long time ago we learned about the giant plumose anemone, Metridium farcamon. These are the other type of anemone that are found in Puget Sound. Now, within this group of anemones, there are a whole bunch of different subspecies of this anemone. And so we're going to be focusing on the general characteristics of this group of anemones called the aggregating anemones. Their scientific name is Anthopleura elegantissima. Anthopleura elegantissima, again, a large variety in Puget Sound, but we're going to be focusing on kind of the general of what they look like. So, these here are your aggregating anemones. Okay? And so the way to tell an aggregating anemone is that they have a very large, round body. And within this very large, round body, they're also very flat. And so when you think about a giant plumose anemone, they're much longer and have a very feathery top. These ones are much more squat and tend to be a lot wider. So these anemones have these large tentacles here, and these large tentacles are really are easy to make it tell that it is this aggregating anemone, because these large tentacles, as you can tell, it has this much bigger section here as compared to the plumose anemone that has a much smaller, much more frilly tentacle top. The ones that we have in the aquarium, these tend to be kind of the largest of these anemones that you will get. So most of the time in the wild, they don't actually get to be this large, but here in the Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium, they have a very good life, they're well fed, they're well taken care of, they have very little predators, and so they do really well. Some of the cool things about them, they're found basically all over the world in different forms, but the ones that we're going to be focusing on, again, are from Alaska to Baja California. Again, several different types of species within that, but for the most part, they're all part of this aggregating anemone. As you can tell, they are reactive to touch. And so what will happen is that this anemone currently thinks that my finger is food. And so what it's doing is it's shooting nematocysts out, and it's trying to grab onto my finger with these little tiny darts. And then if it does, it'll pull my finger into the mouth section here. I'm not going to actually poke it because it's hard on the critter. But it'll pull into the mouth section here, and this is where all the digestion is going to take place. They have like a one orifice, and so they will digest here, and they'll release all their waste from the same orifice as well. And again, these are kind of the largest ones that you will find. When you're out in the wild, you will find them, and they tend to be anywhere between like 2 and 6 inches tall, and maybe like 1 to 3 inches wide, and so they tend to be a lot smaller. And that really just has to do with living in the wild is a much more difficult life than here in the aquarium. So these are the aggregating anemones, which is Anthopleura elegantissima.